Welcome, everyone. My name is Patrick Stern, and I want to thank you on behalf of the San Francisco Library for coming and joining us tonight. Again, my name is Patrick, and I actually do this class with a good friend and colleague of mine, Zach Cole. And unfortunately, he's not going to be here tonight, but I'm happy to guide you through the presentation and through the talks. So, conveniently joining me this evening is Kayla. And Kayla, your last name?
I'm Kayla Carty. I currently work at SimplyHired.com. We are a job search engine. We're located actually down in Sunnyvale, so not too far away. I actually run our social media accounts for Simply Hired, as well as actually used to work at a Facebook application company.
Perfect, perfect. And Kayla's been kind enough to join us to kind of position and give you a little bit of perspective from the opposite side. We like to bring in, recruiters and different hiring managers, but this is really interesting with Kayla because what she's actually kind of showcasing is how, and I'm grossly oversimplifying it, but how the job board actually works and how you can utilize their tools that they have on their site to better help you with your job search. So she's going to be a great resource through this class, and I'm going to kind of touch base with her. Again, just to give you guys kind of a rough idea of what we're going to be doing tonight, I'm going to be talking about how to use social media to really help you find and connect with people to find the jobs that you're looking for. Okay? So I'm going to be talking about that and kind of the various steps that we would recommend going through and what has worked for us, and we're going to use different examples and hopefully your examples as well. And then what we're going to do around 7 o'clock is we're going to shift and we're going to actually break out into our workshop portion. And it's still really informal, but what we do is we like to basically take it to you. We circle up and we're going to have just 2 groups tonight. But we're going to talk about, what are you actually facing as far as your different challenges and everything. So that way you can bring your examples and the things that you might have questions about or have questions about the presentation. We can talk about them as a group, okay? So that's kind of our agenda, and I'll pull that up here in a second. I forget I use my phone here. So let me switch this on. Make sure this is working. So to start off with, just to get a show of hands, I know I asked this a little bit earlier, but who here is currently searching for a job and is unemployed? Perfect. And this is about half of you, and this is actually, I like this, because I assume the rest of you have some sort of job, whether it's part-time or full-time. But I assume those of you that do have jobs, are you looking for like a career transition or just a transition to a different company? Yay, nay? Well, how about a show of hands? Are you looking to transition into a new career, different direction? Okay? And then for those of you that didn't raise your hands at the last part, I assume just different company, different job, right? Okay. So think about this when you actually look at it. First off, the great thing about your job search is you have people around you. So if you think about it and take a quick look around you, everyone here is actually looking to do the same thing you're looking to do, which is find jobs. And really, if you think about it, they're a resource for you, because what I'm doing and what I'm learning how to do, I'm imparting to you through this class, but you can also touch base with the people around you. So connect with the people around you and use them as a resource. So I definitely want to encourage you to do that. And the reason I bring that up at the very beginning of this class is because that's the fundamental part of what social media is. It's leaning on people, and it's finding and connecting with people just like you would find here in this room, but you're instead finding people online, okay? So again, just to talk about our agenda here really quickly, we are basically going to be talking about 4 main things, okay? So what I have here is why social media in a job search, okay? So think about this, and again, you don't have to raise your hand, but who here has actually created any social media account? Yeah, who has a Facebook or any of those? Who has never created one? And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Social has been around for quite some time, a couple years. I can't say, the first social media, like websites and stuff like that, were actually forums. So that harkens back to the early 90s. But for those of you that are kind of waiting and taking your time, there's probably a question of why should I be on social? I'm giving my personal information, I'm putting my resume up there. And if you think about it, there's two sides of that table. Everything that you put up is the information that you feel is okay to go up to people, for people to actually see. You don't have to put up everything. But the other side you have to think about is, I need to be found. And if I'm not in a place where people can find me, because if you think about it, if you put a resume in front of somebody, when was the last time that you guys did a Google search for anything? Today? Okay. You do Google searches for everything. Great, Google makes lots of money from that, la, 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 la. But the point is that everybody does that. And guess what? As a hiring manager, why wouldn't I Google search you? That's an interesting thought. I want to see and I want to find out about you. Because guess what? All I have right now is a resume that's been put in front of me. I don't know who you are. I don't know what, I have some ideas. But I really want to see who you are. So obviously, if you think about that from that perspective, yes, I want to be found. Okay? So, and I'm happy to discuss this more. We'll go into a little bit more on what we call personal branding. So this is creating your own personal brand online, okay? And how you are portraying yourself, your skill sets, and what you want to do, all online. We'll talk about that, okay? So, next thing we have here is how to get started, which is pretty straightforward, and picking and choosing where we want to go. Yeah, question? Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Let me finish the agenda, and I'd be happy to do that. Thank you for asking. So how to get started, and basically that's generally just how to start from square one. If you're starting from square one, great. If you've already started, totally fine. But how do I actually get the ball rolling and working for me? Okay. Set your goals. Obviously, with this, you really want to make sure that you're moving and spending the right amount of time. I don't know about you guys, but when I was doing a job search, I couldn't do it for 8 hours a day. I couldn't be writing and revising resumes and sending emails 8 hours a day. So make sure that you have, and are allotting the resources and time to the correct things. So that's what we'll talk about there. And then how to transition all these online conversations to an actual interview. Okay, how do I actually go from online to face-to-face? Because I don't know about you, but eventually I have to talk to someone face-to-face. You know what I mean? I don't know a lot of people that got hired simply by just talking to people online.
I've heard of Skype interviews. Have been
Skype interviews, yes.
The one exception.
Absolutely. But yeah, basically at some point you do need to have that face-to-face interaction. Okay, so just to answer your question again, really this class is designed in something that I'm really passionate about. I have a background in social media. I actually, for a year in 2011, ran my own consulting company as a social media consultant for businesses. So I worked with every company from restaurants to nonprofits to larger organizations to create and drive social media awareness for their brand and for their company. I've worked with startups before and I've actually been an employee of a social networking site for entrepreneurs. So we had about 500,000 users worldwide, and basically it's my job to bring everybody together on an online space, and we had all kinds of events and stuff like that. I work for a company now called Rocket Science Consulting, and we are a technology and design firm. So I do all creative account management, basically. I oversee everything from app design to web design to social strategy. I do a lot of things. I wear many different hats. But before I actually started doing this class, I was full-blown into a job search. So 2011 was a rough year for me. And that's why I started teaching this class, actually, because I was literally in the middle of a job search, and I was able to actually get interviews through social and basically get the job that I have today. And I wanted to be able to share that with other people. Okay? So that's kind of my background. So if anything, I would say, simply put, I've definitely been there. I know how hard it is. And I think if anything, I want to take and put social as another tool in your tool belt as you do your job search. Okay? So I hope that gives you kind of a background on me. You're more than welcome to Google search me. You might find a few other people that have my same name, but we'll talk about how to hopefully change that. Okay? So let's talk about why social. Let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think social media is valuable in a job search? I mean, I just told you why I'm teaching this class, but why do you guys think this is valuable? Why might it be? Yeah.
Well, there's been a shift, very definitely, from the time I started working in prehistoric times. And now just about everybody's doing social, even us older folks.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys a few numbers that are very interesting as well. Yeah, there's been a fundamental switch. Why else? Back here. Yeah, you can actually have a lot more conversations with social, which is amazing. Yeah.
I applied for a job internally at Goodwill, which is retail.
Sure.
Partly retail, partly, basically career building for people with barriers to employment. We also have a one-stop there, and that was one of the requirements of the job, that I understand social media. And voila, here's the class.
Here's the class. Perfect. So hopefully I can give you a good idea. Sure. Why else? What are probably some of the core reasons? We touched on one over here, but why else? Yeah, back here. Bingo. So really you're taking, because let me ask you this, whether you're unemployed or not, the last job that you have, whether it's current or not, who here, raising your hands, was actually hired or referred through a friend? Fair portion. Who here has gotten a job in their lifetime because of a friend? Half of you. So if you think about it, even though I would say, if you think about it, even if you haven't actually been referred, you will find, and maybe you want to back me up with this, that most likely you will get hired if you know somebody, okay?
It is the #1 source, actually, right now for getting into a company is through referrals. So you're a known quantity. When you have someone else who's vouching for you, it's a lot easier for an employer to look at that pile of, say, 100, 200, or sometimes it's scary, 1,000 resumes, and to pick it out and say, oh, this person knows this person. I'll actually read through this resume and spend time looking and talking to them. There's something that's really validated there when you have someone coming through the door who someone else has vouched for.
Right, bingo. So just to give you kind of a high-level idea. So let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about a few numbers, actually. So right now, 90% of companies will use social media for recruiting in 2012. That's pretty substantial. And whether it's simple things like requirements, people are using social, though, to really get an inside look of who you are. Question? That statistic, I will show my reference on the bottom, but it's basically the likelihood of an HR manager, a hiring manager, or even an internal team that is an individual that is part of the interview process will probably look at social at some point in time to see who you are.
Yeah, I'm asking, the question is, where did you come up with that percentage? Where did you, what figure, what source, where did you come up?
So give me a second and it'll pull up on the bottom. It's a website, and I actually pulled it from another article. Yes. Question?
Technical question, will these slides be available after?
Absolutely. They're actually already available on a social network called slideshare.net. So that's all the slides and everything. Yes. Question?
Just very quickly, what exactly do you mean by social media? Posting an ad, listing on Craigslist kind of social media? Are you talking specifically about Facebook?
I'm going to talk specifically tonight about Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'm actually going to talk about a lot more and what those mean and why you need to think about those. So sites that are specific towards social interactions. And really for me, and Kayla, maybe you can give me another perspective on this, but for me, you're absolutely right. If there's a site or a platform that you can converse and communicate with people, then that's social. You know what I mean? Fundamentally. So Craigslist, yes, is social. But if you think about it, what we actually want to do is carry and have all those conversations online rather than taking them off and putting them into email. You know what I mean? So your conversations are actually public to a certain extent. Whether you share them with everybody or not is up to you. But that's kind of the point.
Just to
Good
piggyback
question.
off the stat a little bit, actually, so Simply Hired, we went to the largest HR conference this last week, actually, or it was this week, SHRM, and the hottest topic there was social media. Every recruiter in part of their campaign has to have social media. It's an expectation now that that's, it's where they're seeing a lot of candidates come through.
Yeah, yeah. And that's good. See, this is why I bring it. Okay, so the next one that I have here is 14.4 million people use social media to find a job in 2011. Now, that doesn't mean I went and had connections. It could be I'm just researching the company. It could be a lot of things. But the point is social media is a great resource for you to help you find that job. Yes?
Is that worldwide or just US?
I would say that's probably going to be US. Okay? Yes, I'm sorry, I haven't put together the international version of this class yet. Still working on the US here. One other thing that I want to mention is 1 in 3 companies have rejected candidates because of social media. Now, a lot of people think about this and they're like, oh, I'm not on social media, or I don't know it. It's not because of that. If you think about it, on your social media profile, you're showing a personal side of you on the web and what your interests are. I could be cooking. I could be really interested in astronomy. I could be a grad student, and I could have all these interests. And if you think about it, people are actually looking to hire you to fit into their organization. And it's a unique fit. Yes, you have skill sets. Yes, you have abilities. You have experiences. But what they're really looking for is how you fit inside their organization, okay? And it's not a bad thing if you are rejected. To tell you the truth, you don't want to turn around a month later and be searching for a job again because you weren't a good fit or you didn't like being there. You know what I mean? So it's actually good for people to know who and what you're all about, okay? So, any other statistics that you might want to add on there?
No.
Okay, and there's your reference down there on the bottom. Decent site that has some interesting stuff that I've pulled recently. Okay? All right. And again, if you need to check that, will post the slides and stuff. Okay? Question?
I don't know if you'll be getting to this, and I don't want to let it in, but is it possible for a company to come up with a profile of who you are if you're not on Facebook or Google? Let's take my real example. I have an AOL account,
Mm.
I have a Yahoo account, and I have a Juno account.
Okay.
I haven't posted anything on Facebook because when I tried it, it didn't work.
Sure.
First time. So So can they draw?
So here's the question, just kind of repurpose, is can companies, hiring managers, people that are searching for you, can they create a profile of you if you don't have any social media presence? Is that kind of the basic or the gist?
Right.
But you do have a few accounts and stuff like that. To tell you the truth, especially when it comes to Yahoo and email accounts, I mean, those aren't really public. You really have a personal profile that allows that company, like Yahoo, to track and see who you are, and that's not really a public-facing profile. You see what I mean?
So I don't believe-
So there would be a limited amount. I mean, maybe, like, if I got mentioned in an article or something like that, or a blog, maybe that would pull up, and that would give you a better idea of what I do. You know what I mean? So that would give them a little bit of perspective, but that's still not a profile. You know what I mean? There are companies that pull and aggregate a lot of information from all the different social networks, make it easier to find people. But still, they're pulling from all those profiles that you have set up. And if you don't have them there, then you're not there, in essence. You know, which can be a good thing. And for this class, I would say, doesn't exactly work in your favor. You want to be found. Okay. So, probably the biggest thing, again, going off and dovetailing off being found, is actually being active. So you need to be, not only do you need to go in and, again, just getting started, you want to set up your profile, make sure everything is there, but you also want to be relevant. You want to be active on the platforms that you're actually choosing to be on. Okay, and we'll get to which platforms you should decide, because I don't know about you guys, but if you wiki search social media site, you'll probably find about 10,000 different sites, and it's like, which one do I need to be on? So we'll get to that in a second. But really, you want to create a presence, okay? And that's setting up a profile. Some people like to use a designated email that they use for job searching, so that way it's shared. It's totally up to you on what you want to do, but you want to create a presence, okay? And you want to let people find you. When you Google search my name, you're going to actually see my name pop up in different areas. But I also have people that I share my name with. And you're going to see that I'm actually running for office in Texas. Not really, but, you know, the guy with my same name is. And there's another guy in LA who does all this video work and stuff like that. Great guys. I've never met them. I want to be on top. So, you know, I have to figure out how to be more relevant so that I show up more in those results. So you'll find things like my LinkedIn profile usually comes up first and actually is above all of them. Who here, when you actually Google search, goes to the second page? Okay, some of you do. Who goes to the third page? Good, good. Fourth page? The point being is not a lot of you go past that first page, right? So at some point in time, really what you want to do is you want to show up in that first page. And participating and being a part of conversations and being active on social networking sites like Facebook, like Twitter, and everything like that allow you to actually put your name out there, and you're more likely to show up in those results. That's actually a whole other science and conversation on how to push your name up in those results. But I'm going to tell you right now, just as a guiding force, this will allow it and make it easier for you to show up in those results. Any? Yeah.
There's 10,000 other people in California. I know anyone.
So it's a good question, and really making yourself unique and different from the others. Well, and it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I have the few positions that I have after 3 or 4 years of, you know, being active and participating. Now, I'm not saying that's when you're going to get a job or anything like that, but that's just pushing yourself up because you have content, you've networked, and you are relevant. You know what I mean? Again, like I said, there's a whole science with pushing yourself up. But if you think about it, if I search on LinkedIn for my name, Patrick Stern, I'm going to come up with 10 other people. At least I'm in those results, though. You know what I mean? And most likely, whenever I search for people in my area, in the Bay Area, guess what floats up on top? It's the people in my area first. So they usually do that. So interesting stuff, and we can talk about it in the workshop part. Any other points on kind of search and
I mean,
and
with
finding?
search, as you said, there's a lot of complexity to it. I mean, there's whole websites dedicated just to optimizations.
Yeah.
I think one of the big things that you can do is if you have your own website as well, it helps to contribute to ranking higher. So if you buy your domain name, is a way to do it. I mean, that's not social media, but we can at least refer your accounts over to that. You
Yeah.
have a little bit more control over your presence.
Just as a suggestion, I don't have it in the presentation, but a lot of people, you know, it's hard sometimes to set up your own website. I definitely understand that. I would actually suggest checking out a site called about.me. So www.about.me. It's a really great site. It's a single page that allows you to basically write down who you are, what you're about. You can put a big picture on the back of you smiling or whatever you want to do. It's .me. Yeah, so it's www.about.me. Yeah, I know they're so tricky and stuff like that. M-E, yes. It isn't actually. It is a regular, like my personal website is patrickstern.me. Right, but so anyways, basically creating that presence is really crucial, and that's actually part of kind of our next slide here is, you know, personal branding. So what you're doing is you're actually creating a space and place, and you're carving out your own little niche for you. But the crucial thing is, yeah. Nope. www.about.me. It's think about this. There are only so many .coms in the world, and if you said about.com, you would go to the search engine about.com. So about.me is a little different. So definitely check that out. Yep.
Oh, that's where I missed.
Gotcha. So what I want to talk about now is, again, is personal branding. This is really going into depth with how to figure out how to position yourself as someone different from not only the other people that have the same name, but the other candidates. So let's get back to actually job searching. So if you think about it, remember that stack that Kayla was talking about, 100 resumes, and they're all there, and somewhere in there you are, okay? So the question is how do I get on top, and how do they notice me? So really what you're doing with social media is you're differentiating yourself. You want to show how you're different. And the great thing is you can show what your personal interests are, whether that's professional or simply personal. Maybe you're really interested in cats or sailing. My friend Harry here, he actually runs a blog called organichobo.com. And he travels around the world, and he's a videographer, and he's really interested in food. And so that helps distinguish who he is and what he does. And it kind of paints a little bit broader picture than what a normal resume would. If I pass you a resume and said, I'm a videographer for the past 2 years, and I've worked on these projects. Okay, so what? Oh, wow, I go to the site, or I go to his social media on his Facebook, on his Twitter, and I see all the cool things that he's doing. Oh, this guy is much more interesting now than just that resume. Does that make sense? Does that kind of follow that? Because if you think about it, read this quote. Can somebody read this for me? Can't see it? Okay.
Because everyone else is taken, and replicas don't sell for as much.
Right. So be the real you because everyone else is taken, and replicas don't sell for as much. Okay? Because if you're trying to replicate and be somebody else, well, that's probably already taken. Okay? So try to be different. I had somebody come into a class and say, hey, Patrick, I'm having a really hard time right now. I have a personal website, and I'm a philosopher student, like I'm getting my master's in philosophy, but I'm working into PR, and that's kind of the direction my career's going in. How do I bring them both together? Well, to tell you the truth, if you were looking for somebody that's in PR and then you find out that they're a philosophy major, that's going to set them apart from all the other PR people, because you don't know what they do. This person's a philosophy student. Now, not everybody will say, hey, I want to talk to the PR person that's a philosophy student, but that makes them unique. You know what I mean? It makes you different, okay? And that's really important. And don't ever be somebody that you're not. I mean, that's truthfully the biggest thing. Be somebody that you want to be, because it makes it easier for you. It makes it easier for you to talk about the movies that you love. Makes it easier for you to talk about your family. All that kind of stuff. So let's move on to the next one here. So the question of which one, and I'm going to actually loop in Kayla on this one because everybody knows about LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I hope. Has everybody heard of these three to start off with? Yeah? Okay. I would say I bring these up to start off with because you need to think about being on here. This is where most of the people are, and these are where most recruiters will look. Is that correct?
Yes, the majority of recruiters really look towards, I think, LinkedIn as a primary source.
Right.
People do look at Facebook. It is somewhat of debate how much you can look into Facebook.
Right, yeah, exactly. Any other sites that you can think of off the top of your head, Kayla?
So there's a lot of actual niche social media sites. So it depends on what career, area you're really focused in. For example, there's a very niche site for nurses called Rad Rounds. So they have different kinds. You can be a radiology person. You can be a nurse on that site. And so it's a community for those individuals who self-identify with that particular career to be able to communicate on what's going on in their industry. And so you're able to stand out among the crowd because you're talking and you're getting in front of the rest of the community, and it's something that really distinguishes you. So there's a lot of different niche sites out there, but these are the main three.
That's actually my next slide right here, is talking about niche social networks. So it's a perfect segue. Now, there's a lot. Notice how the list is still going. There's a lot to go on and a lot to figure out, and where do I go? Now, Kayla brought up a really great point, and that is that these social networks aren't for everyone. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a nurse, by the way. So I probably won't go to that site. I probably won't set up a profile there. However, if I was a nurse, that might be interesting. You know what I mean? So what I've done here, and this is really rudimentary, I've just kind of, I actually updated this about a month ago. These are probably some of the most common sites that people are going to right now that are really hot and trendy. Quora is a great one. You get to go and basically it's a social network about asking questions. So you could simply ask, where is the best place to find jobs in this industry? And people will actually answer those questions. If you're asking questions about your resume, is it better to actually put, if I have my objectives, should I put my objectives in the top of my resume or not? Those types of questions are cool because then you get to kind of start and have that conversation. So, yeah.
Is it people asking questions about all kinds of things or just
all kinds of things?
Anything.
Yeah. How do I make gluten-free cupcakes? All kinds of things. So it's a little bit more general, but you see how it's a little bit more focused on having conversations Q&A style. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit more broader, and I put a few of those up there because, again, like Facebook, like LinkedIn, and like Twitter, they're broader. They cover many different topics. But as you move down the list, you'll notice that there are more specific areas. Let's see here. Behance is huge for designers. And it's a great place to actually showcase and profile your work. And it's just like I told you guys about .me. It's a place for designers to actually put their portfolios up. Personally, I work with a lot of designers, and so I go to Behance to actually look at their portfolios. I want to see their work. And when somebody applies for a position, especially a position that we're hiring internally, whether you're freelance or you're going to be part of our team, I'm going to look at your profile and I want to see your portfolio. But that's, that's again, very niche oriented. So the true question and really the answer to which one is which one works for you though? Which one are you comfortable in? And where do you want to be and where do you want to kind of stake your claim in who you are? So just real high level, again, there are kind of like social norms and rules, I guess you would say, that are different in every social network. So what do you guys think the general consensus is for LinkedIn? Like what would be some kind of overarching rules, I guess, for the community? Yeah.
You need to be professional.
Well, it's very professionally oriented. Yes, absolutely. What else? Any other ideas? And I'm talking about like how you communicate and how you showcase yourself. Again, think about it. You're putting up a resume, and again, it's very job oriented, and again, professionally oriented.
Part of the group on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That specifically targets your career choice.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, I'm sorry. You can, she was mentioning that you can join and participate in groups that are very specific to, say, a particular industry or something like that you're interested in. So with that, again, really what you want to do is you want to tap into, okay, what are my objectives and where do I want to be? I would definitely recommend having a LinkedIn profile. If you haven't set one up already, I would definitely start there. It's very easy to do. It's great because you can upload whatever resume you want. I usually upload and recommend a little bit more general resume that is focused on the areas and industries that you want to be going into. So if you have experience, what's your particular background, if you don't mind me asking? I'm sorry? Career counselor. Perfect. So you can talk about the work that you've done and why, obviously, build a case on why you should be in this industry. So, but a lot of people are looking at it. So if you're looking at 2 different industries, you want to make sure you have a resume that showcases your background in those different areas. But also talking about your objectives is really important to understand this is what I want to accomplish. Okay. Any other points of advice
one of the
on
things
that?
specifically on LinkedIn is they definitely have like a nice very skill area where you can list out your skills, which is key because that's a way to help distinguish yourself among the crowd.
Yeah, particular skill sets and stuff like that. As far as Simply Hired is concerned, we're going to get to that a little bit in the presentation. Is there anything that is that people should know about that actually, like, does Simply Hired actually pull from LinkedIn at all?
Yes. So we do have a feature called Who Do I Know? So it's once you have Who Do I Know? And actually there's a sheet in the back. But once you've collected, say, enough LinkedIn contacts, you have, say, 500, 500 plus, you're able to actually go and do a search on simplyhired.com. And once you enable your LinkedIn account in line with your search results, you can actually see your first and your second degree connection. So a second degree connection is, I know this individual, I know Patrick, he knows someone at another company, I would love to connect with that other person, I connect with Patrick, he connects me with the other person, and that's a second degree connection.
So I introduce you.
Yes.
Right.
So you're able to leverage that and show those in line with your search results, so you're able to proactively seek jobs that you know that, hey, I know someone at this company, I should apply for this job because I'm more likely to get a job at that organization.
Yeah. So that kind of tool is absolutely essential, and you see how there's integration into it. Yes, question.
Yeah, I could get requests from people to accept them on LinkedIn, and I don't know them.
Yes. So that's a lot of people debate whether or not. I'm of the philosophy I generally don't accept too many people who I don't know. I think it's important to have like a personalized message or have some kind of connection with them because a lot of times people will be on a referral basis. But there is an opportunity a lot of times to start a conversation with them, to want to accept that connection, because they say, hey, I'd like to talk to you, grab a cup of coffee, then connect with them afterwards. It's a
Right.
great opportunity to meet the new people. It's just you do want to probably be selective, because at the end of the day, people do see those listing of the connections. At least I see them as someone that you can say, I do know them, I've met them at some point.
Yeah. So, and does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
It just brought up another question. You can also have gotten requests to recommend somebody who wasn't wanting to recommend.
And that's perfectly fine. I mean,
You just ignore it, or do you?
you can, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, you
If
can.
I'm going to actually have somebody actually introduce me on LinkedIn, I will actually probably message them first and let them know that I want to be introduced for these reasons. So there's a little bit more context, and it's not, hey, meet this person. I happen to know them. Enjoy, something like that. Okay. Good questions, though. Yes, there was a question back here, and I'll come over here.
About LinkedIn, if you're looking to transition to a new career and your confidence are kind of within, you feel that you want to go to something else.
Sure.
How do you use it to get information on interviews, or how best to how do you search for, I guess I'm just saying what's the best way to utilize it to find.
And that question right there is absolutely an amazing question. So the question is how, if I have connections within a certain industry and I'm looking to move to another industry, it's hard to actually bridge that gap. And so how do I introduce myself? How do I engage in a new industry with people like that? And that actually I'm going to talk about in the workshops. So that way we can talk more specifically to you. So write that one down. Let's come back to that in the workshops, okay? So thank you. Any other questions about these? I know there's quite a few here, but again, the real point here is pick the networks that you feel are most important. We recommend definitely doing LinkedIn. You're in a job search, so it's very job searching oriented, professionally oriented. Anything else on top of that is really going to add value as far as giving people insight to who you are, okay? So Facebook, although some recruiters do look at it, it depends on you. I don't let people actually see more than just my basic information on my Facebook page, just because it's personal. However, I'm really involved in Twitter, so you can go and you can actually see all the conversations that I'm talking about. It's all public. I talk about all the tech industry. I talk about cool restaurants that I go to in the city. I love this city, so I talk about that. I'm really into photography, so I post about that kind of stuff. This paints a very unique picture than anything else that they might find. You know what I mean? Personally, one of my favorites right now, I don't know what yours are, I love Instagram. Instagram I'm crazy about. I'm on it all the time. And I just love to post pictures, and I happen to have an iPhone. Not everybody has that, but you can definitely find, the networks that work well for you. This is a great one if you're looking to just create a personal blog and talk about the things that you're interested in. It takes seconds to get it started and going. You're off to the races in a matter of minutes. I'm really into music as well. Turntable allows you to socially DJ and share music together. And again, not every single one is for you. I just put a few out there that are trending right now that a lot of people are talking about, and I'm sure you might have heard of in the news. So that way it gives a little bit of context and why these are important. Okay? So let's talk about job searching, because this is where Kayla can really give you guys insight on what it is to start searching for jobs. So I have to forewarn you, on this particular slide, I'm not a huge fan of actually using job boards, but they actually are very useful. And I want to talk about that, and I'll actually have Kayla jump in there as well. So, job boards. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know about you guys. Who is tired of Craigslist? I can't even think about it right now. I'm just like, I don't want to start, I don't even want to start because it's intense. There's so much going on. And I don't know about you guys, but nobody really responds. You know what I mean? And that's very frustrating because I think it's a waste of my time. You know what I mean? So we'll get to job boards in a second, how Simply Hired can be very useful for you. And I actually have a few, strategies on that I've used before to help you actually get jobs. But what I also want to talk about and put in your pocket is social search. So it's actually looking for conversations and for people that are actually talking about jobs. So it's really interesting, and it depends on what kind of field you're in. I know a few like freelance writers and stuff like that, and they actually have found jobs because people are talking about, I wish I could do this, or it'd be really nice to be able to do this, to this, and this. And that's really high level, but there are tons and tons of recruiters that are actually putting their jobs up on LinkedIn, up on Facebook and Twitter. So even if you're not really active in those, you can definitely use them to search and find those conversations that are going on about those particular jobs. Okay? Does that add a little bit different perspective as far as a resource? Question?
But it is, I am not about those weren't conversations, but they're just posting for jobs. And I've seen it.
If you think about it, though, if I respond, say on Twitter I see a post for an account manager job at some company or something like that. If I respond to that, guess what? It's now become a conversation. You know what I mean? So and you can actually see all the other responses. So you can actually see people replying and inquiring and so on and so forth. So I can actually see what kind of people are actually interested as well. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of context, and you can actually actively engage in those conversations. Okay, so find people and conversations. Now, you don't have to just be searching for a position. Not everybody just posts about it. What if I really, who here has an ideal company that they would like to work for? Give me some examples. Anybody? Apple Computer. I actually worked for Apple for about 2.5 years. They're an amazing company. Yes. Yeah. Pixar. I just saw Brave last night. Good movie. Yeah. Very nice. I saw it at Van Ness. Oh, okay. Oh, well. Let's see here. Anybody else? Other companies back here. Warner Brothers. Cool. Google. Okay. Oracle. Okay. So lots of really interesting and big companies. These are ideal companies. And everybody has their own reasons why they want to work there. But if you think about it, you can actually find the people that do work there already through social search. So if you are actually looking to connect for a particular job that doesn't even exist yet, you can start a conversation actively with somebody that's already there that could potentially, when that job becomes available, slots you right in. You're the first on the list. Does that make sense? Yes, definitely. Okay? But I think that's a crucial concept, is that you can actively, participate in conversations and start conversations with people that are already there that will allow you, when that time comes for that dream job, to actually slot you in. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the nice thing about it is that you're really starting to build your own brand with them. You're starting to establish yourself as an individual, and so recruiters will actually proactively think, oh, that job just opened up. I'm actually going to contact this person who's been making all these great comments and has all this great insight they've been putting on Twitter or putting on LinkedIn, that I should go ahead and reach out to them directly, which you're going to have the opposite effect, which is really nice. Instead of you seeking them, they're seeking you.
Right, exactly. So, and when you're searching for jobs as well, the nice thing, and just to loop back to Simply Hired and how they actually do job postings, it gives you a really good resource, because you can find out where companies are actually hiring. I mean, obviously, that's pretty straightforward, that they've taken the time to actually post on the site. But if you think about it now I can target this company that's hiring for a certain position, and now I can go talk to the people that are working at that company ahead of time. So I can create connections, even if I didn't know anybody there, with people that are already at that company. Does that make sense? Because if you think about it, I go to Simply Hired and I look, and again, I'm just using an account manager role or position. I see, oh, these 3 companies have this position available. Oh, great, okay. I'm going to go to LinkedIn now, and I can actually search for that company, and I can find other people that have that position already. That's really cool, because now I can talk to them and see what they think, you know? Informational interview. You want to get coffee? I'm really interested in this job, and I want to know how, do you like it? Do you like working for this company? Or, you know, would you not recommend it, you know? Those are kind of interesting things and great ways to start conversations, okay? So, yeah.
What does social search stand for?
Yeah. All right, let's do this. I don't know. It's me being kind of funny. Question.
What if you don't have a mutual contact with the person you want to set up an informational interview with? How are you set up there?
Yeah, so there's actually LinkedIn InMail as an option. So most people, I think, get a couple of them with their account, so you can send direct messages to them. And also a lot of times recruiters will have like a little symbol, like it's a little open circle. It's like a little dots making a circle, and it means that you can actually contact them without having to use one of those messages, and they have an open communication. So you can proactively seek them out, and if they have like that symbol, you can contact them, or if you turn around and use one of your InMails, it's an option as well.
Right. And there are other strategies as well. A lot of times you'll go on LinkedIn, you might find Twitter accounts, and a lot of people are very active on Twitter, so you might be able to message them as well. So there's definitely cross-pollination and stuff like that. Now, I want to go to a main point here. If you go to a site like Simply Hired, they have a lot of great resources and allow you to connect and find jobs and everything. One main point that I want to make sure that you understand, though, is that you need to focus your time on, say, 5 to 8 jobs. If you do any more than that and you've sent out 30 resumes, I mean, what happens if something comes back? Do you remember which job, first off, that you actually applied to? Focus your time and energy on the jobs that you actually want and love, okay? And you're actually qualified for. That way you can make sure that you find the connections for those particular jobs. It's really crucial to find jobs that you actually enjoy as well. Because I don't know about you, I'm not too thrilled about 3 months later having to do the same thing and do the job search again. You know what I mean? So let's find a job that you actually love and enjoy. And I know that's really way out in left field and everything, but you know, it helps you focus and it keeps you motivated, because that's the hardest thing a lot of times, is finding the motivation. Yeah, question?
I'm looking to relocate. Is there some specific way that you can for a job in
Oh
geographic area?
yeah. LinkedIn is actually a great resource, but
Lots
Simply
of tools.
Hired.
Simply Hired, we actually have, we're a job search engine, so we're actually different than a job board. So we actually have, worldwide, it's 8 million jobs in our database. In the US, it's about 5 million jobs. So you can see everything in the United States and just type in kind of your location. One thing to consider, though, when you are thinking about relocating is if you have any friends or family in that area, it's ideal to use maybe their address or have some kind of temporary address, because recruiters will take, kind of take out the non-local candidates sometimes, unfortunately. So it's important to kind of make sure your resume shows that you're either open to relocation or have semi-local address.
Yeah, and actually I got deferred when I was applying to Apple. They kept on kicking me back. I'm originally from Hawaii, so I moved from Hawaii to California, and they kept on kicking me back to stores back in Hawaii, which was frustrating, because I want to be here. You know what I mean? So that's a really good point. Yeah, question?
Is it true, if you have a cell phone with a different area code in the area where you're looking for a job? I had a housemate who was looking for a job, and she kept using her Midwest area code on her cell phone, and I said, use the house phone.
Yeah.
She got bites after she changed the phone number.
Interesting.
Right.
And it's, I mean, there are ways to get around that. Google Voice, if you ever want to get a Google Voice number, you can usually get a 415 or an East Bay number and stuff like that. Again, just look it up. It's really easy to set up, but it's kind of a tangent. Anyways, what I want to talk about now is going back to that concept of a friend or an advocate, okay? So to start things off, Kayla, I know you're sitting down. One more thing. what examples do you have from your own personal experience where advocates really helped you out, especially on social media? So maybe you have a few examples for us.
Well, I personally actually got my job currently at Simply Hired through a connection. So I was able to find the job. Actually, funny enough, it was on Simply Hired I found the job.
All right.
And then turned around and found a connection on LinkedIn. So I actually had a number of connections within the organization. And so from that, I actually was able to get a position that it was a little different probably than what I normally would have gotten, a little bit of a stretch, because I had someone with internally who was able to vouch for me, which was a big help. So I actually had a second degree connection. So there's really opportunities when you're looking there to kind of think about, how you can go about the process of getting a referral. It really makes a difference in having your resume stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, and I mean, as another example, my brother actually got hired in October by J.P. Morgan Chase. Big company, didn't even have that on his radar. But he had his profile up on LinkedIn, and he had his portfolio up on his profile. He's an app prototyper, so he's a designer. Excuse me. And basically, a recruiter just reached out to him on LinkedIn, liked his work, and said, "Hey, be interested in setting up an interview with my client." Didn't tell him who. And he's like, "Sure." So he ended up talking to them. 4 rounds of interviews later, they offered him a job. And that was simply off LinkedIn. You know what I mean? So there's 2 sides to it. You definitely need to be active and proactive. He was proactive by showcasing how he is, what he is, uniquely. And that's a crucial point on one side. The other side is actually actively having conversations with the right people internally and doing the research to see who's there. You know what I mean? If any of you looking at jobs for the city and county of San Francisco? Okay, because I know a few people usually do, especially when they come to this class. You'd be surprised how many people you all of a sudden can connect to and research and talk to just by going on LinkedIn and finding out, oh, wow, this person works in this department at the San Francisco Library. I can talk to reach out to them and talk to them about this position that I just found on Simply Hired, so on and so forth. So again, there's kind of 2 ways to go about it, but you really want to find that advocate. That's the biggest thing, is because again, like Kayla said, it gets you in the door. It makes sure you have your foot in and the door doesn't slam, and close you out. So you really want to ask yourself, who can get you in the door? When you're getting started and you find a position, say, on Simply Hired, what you want to do is you want to start doing your research. Who do I know that's there? Start within your first degree of people that you know. And then you can use resources like LinkedIn, and you can go farther. Or you could go even farther and just say, who do I need to know? And that's simply going out and researching and seeing all the people there. The great thing is, for Kayla, she could go look up Simply Hired on LinkedIn, and bam, there's like 2,000 employees, all of them right there. I hope every single one of them are on there.
Well, much smaller, but yes. Yes,
Right.
Everything's there.
Right, exactly.
Without a
So,
doubt.
yeah.
I just want to clarify, Simply Hired is a recruiting firm?
No, so Simply Hired, it's with a D. It gets a little confusing.
Uh-huh.
But we're a job search engine. So we aggregate all the jobs on the web. So we have Monster.com, we have Career Builder, we have all of the different jobs. We have direct employers. So if you found Intel, Apple, Google, we have small employers who will also have jobs on our site. And it's put all into one place, and we make sure to go through and what we call deduplicate them. So you're removing all of the jobs. Apple has, say, 5 jobs, 1 on Monster, 1 on Career Builder.
Yeah, so she's basically an
Yes.
aggregate for jobs.
Think about
and
it kind of how
all comes
Google
to one
works.
place.
So how would the average person use the site? Or it's not for the average person, you work with company called?
So it's actually for everyone. It's for every type of profession. So similar how you would go to Google and you type a keyword.
How the average person uses it?
Yes. So how you go to, for example, think about Google. You go and you type a keyword on Google, and you want to have a particular title, for example, on, you're looking in for whatever you want. So you find that on Google. Simply Hired, you would do the same thing. You would type a keyword, whether it be the title, your skill, and the job would appear. All the jobs that are available would appear
Right.
for that particular keyword or location.
Right, yeah.
So you are a tool, Simply Hired is a tool.
Yep,
Yes, it is a
exactly.
tool.
So you can search for different positions, and it pulls up results showing you which companies have those positions available. Yeah.
How is Simply Hired different from Indeed?
So we're both the same kind of model.
Mhm.
How we're different from Indeed is our social media features, actually. So our Who Do I Know feature, which I mentioned earlier with the LinkedIn in line with results, we actually do have a Facebook integration. It's on our homepage as well as we have a lot of filters. So we actually partnered with the White House on a veterans initiative, and so we have a veteran-friendly filter that the government identified organizations who were veteran-friendly, and so those are listed, the companies, as well as there's a few other filters on our site, a green filter even, that's unique to our site.
Yeah.
When was your company started?
We're 2005.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at
They're pretty big.
We're based in Sunnyvale.
Yeah. So what I want to do is kind of continue again. Thank you.
Yeah,
Kayla.
no problem.
Is talking about, and let's steer us back to really what an advocate really does for you and how to establish those connections on social media. So again, think about it this way. If I was to break down the actual steps that I might go through, and there's many ways to find jobs, but I could find a job on Simply Hired, and then I can go and I can actually research that particular company, say on LinkedIn, to find the people that currently work there. You know what I mean? And that gives me a really good rundown of everybody. But depending on the type of position that you're looking for, you might want to go find that person elsewhere because it might be easier for you to connect with them in a different way. So for an example, if I go online and I find a whole list of people on LinkedIn, I would definitely recommend starting with LinkedIn first because the way it's structured and the way it has most of the employees and their positions, that way you can talk to the right people. From there, I would go in and I could search on Facebook, I could search on Twitter, I could search on any of these niche networks or anything, again, depending on what you're doing and looking for. And that way I can actively engage with them on that particular site for that particular topic, okay? So, if I'm trying to engage with somebody, a potential client or something like that, or for whatever reason, or I'm, again, looking for a job for an account manager at a particular company, I can go find them on LinkedIn. I can find possibly what networks. They usually have links there. Or I just take their name and I Google search them for Facebook, and it pulls up their profile on that list. And I can, engage in them and just say, hey, I'm interested in talking to you about A, B, and C, this position at this company, whatever it is. And we'll talk about how to engage and everything. But then you also want to look at their conversations. I know a lot of people, especially, that are looking for jobs and doing, say you're moving or transferring or moving to a different industry or something like that from the current one, not physically moving, but just going to a different, you can actually go find conversations that are going on about particular topics and you can participate in, okay? That way you're basically just positioning yourself as someone who's interested. Hey, I like your particular content. I really enjoyed, a post that you made. It's something that I'm interested in. Here's an article that I put up or a photo that I put up. Whatever it might be, however you want to actively engage and however you can relate with them. That's the point, is relating with people, okay? So participate in those conversations and, you can build an online friendship in essence. And then from there, you really want to be able to, again, focus your efforts on finding the right advocates. You can talk to many different people and participate in their conversations, but again, you want to find someone that really is going to be able to put you in the right position when you ask, say, hey, I'm interested in this position. I actually want to put my resume in. Can you help me out? You know what I mean? So again, 74% of hired candidates use personal connections to actually get hired, okay? That's really important to think about. And again, you really want to make sure that you are finding the right people that will put you in touch with the right people, okay? Yes?
Connections don't have to be people you know.
Right, exactly. And that's the beauty, right.
Really know somebody.
Exactly, but that's the beauty of social media now, is that it's an open playing field. I can talk to anybody, you know what I mean? Not everybody's going to respond and so on and so forth, but you can, you know, maximize your efforts to talk to the right people because you've done your research, you know what I mean? That's focused on the jobs that you're focused on. A lot of the LinkedIn conversations are private that you're having, you know, where you're messaging back and forth, but if you're on a group and you're having group discussions in a forum about something, yeah, I'm putting it up there so people can read it because I want to say, hey, you know what, like, let's use some examples. How about you? What kind of job are you looking for? I hope you don't mind me asking.
No, it's all right. Something in writing.
Okay.
Ideally, combine writing and sports.
Okay. All right. So, okay, let's think of it this way. Let's say I'm on LinkedIn, and I want to find groups of writers that are sports writers. They probably have good connections to publishers and people that could actually get me jobs and gigs, right? So participating in those conversations basically position you as someone who's interested and you like and enjoy that particular topic, but you can also position yourself as a thought leader. Hey, look at this article and this, you know, it could be a blog or something that I've written recently, or a piece that I wrote for this journal or something like that. And you refer people, and it allows them to see you in a different light, and it allows you to connect with them in a different way. You can choose what you want to be seen or not to see. Does that make sense? It takes time. You'll learn it. Yeah.
A question in terms of LinkedIn, and there'll be discussions. A discussion is posted, and I have a push to my iPhone to see what's going on. And if I click on this has happened. I click on the discussion, and it's a sales pitch for somebody's product or service that they want to sell. Is there a way to avoid the whole pretense of this is a discussion, but really it's a sales pitch?
I mean, yeah, there is a lot of that.
Experience the same thing.
Yeah. I would focus on joining smaller groups. Those kinds of spam, per se, in those groups.
I was quite surprised it was on weekend.
Yeah, those spam, you know, it's really up to the moderators to make sure that stuff and that riffraff is not in there. But larger groups, they target those more. So if you go to smaller, more niche-oriented, you'll get less of that and more quality conversations. So good question, though. So, okay, so again, the point is go out and find people and talk, you know, and actually get out there and go. But, you know, it also stipulates that there's a lot more. I don't know about you guys, but who's been to a hiring event? Yeah, a couple of you. Does Simply Hired usually do events like that?
We do some. We're mostly reach out to actually career counselors and educate them about our product.
Perfect, perfect. So especially if you're in college and you're just coming into the workforce and stuff like that, there's a lot of great resources there. But, you know, you want to actively engage, you know, and work on it from multiple fronts. You're doing social, you're doing your research, you know who the recruiters are, you know they're going to be at a particular event coming, and you can come in and introduce yourself, and you've supposedly already had a conversation already with them online. So, hey, my name's Patrick. We talked online about A, B, and C. Oh, yeah, hey, great to see you. Glad to meet you in person. Oh, okay, so you're interested in the, bam, and you're off to the races. You know what I mean? So, again, really the next topic that I'm really talking about is how you really need to make sure that you need to move those conversations offline. You know what I mean? So, one thing that I want to make sure that is really, really important, and I know this goes a little bit off topic, but if you think about it, advocates are going to, you know, the people that you establish a relationship with are going to probably put you in position or put you in front of the people who are actually hiring for positions, right? So what I would definitely recommend is actually waiting to apply to these positions until you've had conversations. Putting resumes out there actually gets the ball rolling before you really know the ball needs to be rolling in that area, okay? And I say this for a couple reasons. There's a few incentives for people and advocates to actually refer you. I don't know about you guys, but I get a nice little referral bonus if I bring somebody into my company and I refer them, okay? So that's a nice little incentive for me to get you in the door. But if you've already applied, I don't get that bonus, sorry. So that's a small little example right there. But again, the point is make sure that you are talking to the right people and talk to the advocate and see who you should be applying and talking to. If you're putting your resume in front of the wrong person, then I'm wasting time. I should be talking to this person, and that advocate or that internal person at that company can now steer you to the right person and introduce you even, okay? So only apply when you have at least 1 to 2 people internally that can internally advocate for you. Any recommendations on that from your personal experience?
Yeah, internal advocates are a huge piece of the puzzle. You definitely need to have someone who's there to represent you, especially they can give you perspective on the hiring manager, which is actually really helpful to know kind of their style, if it's a match for yours before you apply for the job.
Right.
Getting that insight on, how is that person's working style, thinking about connections, and it's also a great thing to do is have that insight so when you do interview, you kind of already know a little bit about them.
Right, exactly. Perfect. So, okay. So does that make sense? Again, I'm moving on to the next slide, but that is really, really important. I only would recommend applying once you know who you need to be putting the resume into. Or if that hiring manager says, I haven't seen your application come through, can you apply at this link? Or they actually tell you to go on to Simply Hired or wherever they have it posted so that it goes into their system, okay? So something that's really, really important. So now you're transitioning. Again, taking that conversation and moving it offline, okay? You always need to come to this point because whether you're going to actually have an in-person interview, Skype, I know it's not quite in person, but that's about as close as you get with online. But basically what you need to do is be able to transition those online conversations and be able to say, hey, I'm really interested in this job. I'd want to be able to buy you coffee or meet with you or even have a phone call. If I'm looking to transfer and move somewhere, hey, do you have time for a 10 or 15-minute call? I have a few questions about the position you're in or the company that you're working for, or I'm looking to actually apply. Who should I be speaking to? Those are great questions to ask. Yes? I see a few of them. It's okay.
You're not actually researching the person that's going to be interviewing you. You're talking to people who know that person.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, you can definitely research the person that would interview you, because guess what? If I'm going to talk to anybody around them that's going to advocate for me, I need to know who I want to actually end up talking to. So I want to say, so here's another way. I want to talk to this recruiting manager or this senior manager because I know they would probably interview me for the position I want. Can you put me in touch with them? I'm really interested in talking to them. You see what I mean? So you're actually you find the person, take one step back and see who can actually refer you and push you in. I love talking to people who already have the job. I think that's so crucial because guess what? They can give me advice. They've hired them. They went through the interview process and everything. So they're really good people to talk to. And I'm sure they're more than happy to help you out, especially if they get a referral bonus. You could. That's why I said 5 to 8 jobs, no more.
Job searching is a full-time job too.
It is a full-time job. And you also need to pay the bills. So, it takes time. So, all right. So, start a conversation first. Obviously, you're doing that online. You're joining in. You're starting your own conversations if you're on groups or, whatever site you're on. Reach out with personal messages. Again, having those unique ways to connect to people. I've seen and heard stories about people connecting over dim sum. Oh, cool, you really like dim sum. I saw that. I've been there before. Cool. Well, hey, I'm interested in this job, blah, 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 blah. Now I'm off and running, and we have a mutual interest to share. You know what I mean? So reach out with personal messages. Here's an example. Hey, Rob, I wanted to speak to you about a new executive assistant position your company has. Would you have time for a 10-minute call today or tomorrow or whatever? And they'll hopefully respond, and you'll be able to take it from there. Okay? So that's kind of your transition. And then from there, basically, what I've actually done is I've met people online through social media. So I use Twitter a lot. And then I've basically asked that same question, hey, can I buy you a drink? I'd love to be able to talk to you about the current position you're in, and I'm interested in applying for that position. And from there, I actually go to that interview, or excuse me, that informational interview, and I actually have my resume with them, or with me, and I ask them, can you put this in front of so-and-so? Can you put this in front of the hiring manager? Would you be able to do that for me? Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to give that to them. They take it and they put it in front of their hands the next day. Guess what? I have an internal advocate within 24 hours, which is really awesome. And I'm grossly oversimplifying it. It takes time to have these conversations. But you can see how you can move very quickly all of a sudden to getting an interview. Okay? Question?
As a career counselor, I think you have to be very careful about that.
Absolutely.
Crossing the little line between an informational interview and a job interview. And I think you really want to be careful.
Absolutely. So, and it depends on what kind of industry you're in and what kind of position. One thing I would recommend, though, is always going prepared. If you don't have a resume with you, well, they're going to ask for it, and you're going to be like, I could send you an email.
And the person doing the interviewing, from whom you're trying to get the information, needs to have that information about you.
Sure.
To give you.
Exactly.
I would just be careful about saying, could you put that in front of, because all of a sudden you've changed.
Yep, exactly.
The reason you asked for that interview.
But it's also, and she brings up a good point, make sure that you're upfront with what your intentions are. I'm not looking to date you because you're pretty. You know what I mean? That's not why I asked you out to coffee. You know what I mean? I'm looking for a job, and I want to talk to you about it. Is that okay? Then people know, and they can make the decision to come and kind of have that expectation that this person might give me a resume. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously, there are social norms, and you'll be able to decide whether it's good to give that to them. But great point. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so have your advocate apply for you. The resume goes to the hiring manager. Who else would it go to? It just needs to go to the hiring manager, right? No? No?
Maybe we go to a department head.
There you go. Exactly. So those are the actual people that make the decision. These are the two people that will make the final call right here. Okay? Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, definitely. It also depends on the size of the company. So sometimes the overall HR director will kind of go through all the resumes and really go through the pile, and it all varies kind of what size organization. In a really large organization, you're going to get only these two individuals. When it's a smaller organization, you might want to also consider kind of the head of HR and looping them in.
Yeah.
And maybe that could be another person to reach out to.
It's up to your discretion, but usually you would want to have two people. So it's, again, hiring manager or department head or senior manager, the person that would be interviewing, and you would actually be working under, potentially on their team. Okay? So that's really crucial right there. Okay? So that concludes my presentation. It's a little bit longer, and thank you for your questions and everything. I want to go ahead and wrap things up. And we're going to move into our workshop in a second here. But again, if you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to basically come and check us out online. But remember, create a presence, target your job search, find advocates for you, and then be prepared when you actually go into those informational interviews, or if they ask you to pass your information over to them. Okay? Have that resume ready for them. Okay? So, and set yourself apart from others. Okay? All right. So knock them dead. Again, Here's information for myself. You can find us on Twitter. There's Zach Cole. And Jessie Steele is actually a recruiter from Facebook. She's really good, and she, although she can't actually make it to these classes most times, she's happy to give you advice and give you ideas on how to best position yourself. She does it all the time, okay? Do you have your
So
Twitter
probably
handle?
the best one I actually run our @SimplyHired account. So if there's ever questions, you can just, use
Yeah.
that @SimplyHired.
So Twitter is pretty active with conversations, and I know some of you might not be on there. But again, you can also go to our LinkedIn. I've created actually a group specifically for this class. And there I've posted, and a couple people post discussions and questions. And hopefully you can find other people in the same scenario that can provide advice and perspective and everything, okay? So, and then also just to kind of wrap things up, San Francisco Library is a great resource for you. You should definitely take advantage of some of the workshops that they have, much like this. The Career Center has a lot of great resume writing classes. And there's a lot of other resources out there too. Goodwill Industries has a lot of great resources, and JVST, or is it JV? Yes, exactly. JVS they have amazing classes, and I know a few people there, and they're very, very, very helpful. So, yes, exactly. Yeah, and they can focus more on that because that's what they do. So I just wanted to give you guys a few other resources to tap into, especially online ones. But again, thank you very much for coming. We're going to go into the workshop, so don't go away. I'm just saying thank you to the videos and everything. So appreciate your time. Have a good evening.